Once upon a time in a forest, a poor family formed by a lumberjack with their children Hansel and Gretel and his stepmother. The family was going through difficult circumstances in which no longer had to eat, and the poor woodcutter was very concerned because I don't have to give their children, and the food was already running low. One night the woodcutter was thinking the bad situation in the past, and the stepmother had a good idea were meant to leave children abandoned in the forest because they do not know the way back. Hansel and Gretel hears this. He tries to calm her by telling her not to worry, that they will find the way to return. He goes out for a few stones that shine with the light of the moon. The next morning, the stepmother takes the children to the forest with the excuse of searching for a few raspberries. They are left abandoned in the depth in the forest. Gretel was very scared, but Hansel left the stones without his stepmother knew it. They were just waiting for the night until it left and started his way to return home. The stepmother surprised and a little annoyed to see that Hansel and Gretel returned. I scolded because returned without the raspberries, but his father to see would return repented of that decision. The next morning, the stepmother selfish did the same, only give them a bread and warned them that there was nothing to eat. But Hansel could not pick up stones this time, but had to bread, so did the same. The wind tried to return. They realized that a few pigeons had eaten away the crumbs of bread that Hansel had thrown in along the way. They walked for many hours and were very frightened. The woodcutter returned home and immediately asked why their children what the stepmother's list and told him that they were outside playing and never returned. The woodcutter went to look for them, but by a strong storm could not find them. Hansel and Gretel fell to the river and were unconscious. The next morning woke up in a beautiful place, and in that place had a nice bird. They decided to follow him. Then they ran into a giant and beautiful house that was made of many sweets, not much thought, and began to eat until he suddenly saw an elderly and very frightened. The old woman decided to invite them to eat. Gretel, in gratitude, decided to help with the chores. That night they stayed there, but at night they listened to the old woman to talk with the bird and realized that it was actually a raven, and the old was a witch and that they wanted to eat them. The witch realized that Gretel was listening, then immediately confined to Hansel and forced Gretel to help her with the trades of the house. The witch had planned to feed Hansel with lots of food for Gretel and then being able to eat him, but Hansel manages to cheat. But the witch realizes and annoyed with this Gretel to eat along with his brother, but his brother manages to escapes and saves Gretel. After a few days, Gretel gives you tools to Hansel so they can escape. Gretel manages to push her and looking her in an oven at the deep bricks to expel on the forest. They fall into in the river again, come to a forest but are unable to find a way home. Hansel becomes ill due to so many sweets that act with the witch. Because of this leaving Gretel. But the woodcutter that sought by day and night managed to find Gretel. She tells him that his brother died. It carries the body to bury him. Returning, Gretel learns that her stepmother is not. The woodcutter tells him that she had died in the end. It is Gretel and his poor father, the woodcutter, left alone.